Welcome to another episode of Beat the Bookie. I'm your host this week, Sean Scott, and as always, I'm dealing out $100 on the best bets in college football this week. But before we get into this week, let's look back at last week, see how Tim did. All right, not too bad, lost 29 cents. I do sympathize with that Northwestern pick. Had I been in this chair a week ago, I probably would have picked the same thing. So not too bad. We can do better, and I will do better. So let's get started. This week's big games, starting with Maryland and Penn State. Penn State's favored by 6.5 on the road. Maryland a home underdog once again. They were home underdog against Syracuse, and they've won that game in a blowout. The public vote abandoned Maryland after they lost at Temple. I think Mike Locksley will have this team looking a lot more prepared to try to beat another ranked Power 5 team at home. So give me Maryland. $15 on the Terps, plus 6.5 at home. And now Virginia and Notre Dame. This one's a little tough. I'm only going to put $5 on this one, but I do like UVA plus 12.5. Virginia's defense is pretty legit. They lead the country in sacks. And I think they run a rare 3-3-5 defense. It should confuse Notre Dame just enough, keep the game close within 12.5. And finally, USC and Washington for our last big game. I don't really like the 10.5 point line on Washington as the favorites there, but I do like the over. Southern Cal starting a new quarterback, Matt Fink, but they should still be able to score. He's looked pretty good so far. And Washington also has an experienced offense and a very good quarterback in Jacob Eason. So give me the over in that one on 61. That's $5. Now let's get to my picks. This is where all the fun starts, and I'm diving deep. Let's start with Akron and UMass, two equally bad teams, both 0-4 against the spread. The good thing about college football, someone has to win. There are no ties like the NFL. So usually in this case, I'll favor the home team. Road favorites, they're a no-go in Sean Land. Somehow Akron's favored by 7.5 on the road. No way this is going to be more than a one-score game, especially not for Akron. Give me UMass, the Minutemen, plus 7.5 in that one, $10. And now UConn. Ooh, get ready to this line. 43.5 points. They go to Central Florida. Central Florida coming off a loss in the regular season, the first time in a couple years. Largest line of the weekend. UConn kept it close as a big underdog a couple weeks ago against Illinois. 43.5 is just way too high. I know UConn's bad, but 43.5, that's ridiculous. Give me 15 on UConn plus 43.5. And I know I just said road favorites, they're a no-go. But Stanford -4 against Oregon State, that line's way too good. Stanford struggled a bit this year, yes, but Oregon State is still a very bad team. I'd be shocked if Stanford wins this game by less than 4. Should be about a touchdown at least. So give me the Cardinal to cover on the road, $20 on that one. And now it's mortal lock time, going back to the Big Ten on Beat the Bookie. Apologies in advance to the head man of this show, Noah. I got to pick against his Golden Gophers. Minnesota's 0-2-1 against the spread. Despite starting 3-0, they could easily be 0-3. Now you tell me they're a road favorite in the Big Ten opener? No way. $25 on Purdue, plus 1.5. Lock that one in. In fact, I love that one so much, we're going to throw in a little parlay. $5 to wrap up this show. Purdue plus 1.5. Careful distinction here. Clemson in the first half -16. I think they'll let off the gas a little bit in the second half, but they should roll through that first half against UNC up at least 17. And then Northwestern over 10.5 points. It's a little tricky prop bet there. And they're not very good. Yes, they might lose by 20 to Wisconsin on the road, but I think they can at least score 2 touchdowns. Give me the over on that one. That's pretty ridiculous. And finally, BC, they've got A.J. Dillon, and I think that's enough for me to pick them as a home dog against Boston or against Wake Forest. $6 or 6 points is the spread there, $5. So let's wrap up this prop bet here and let's look at what I'm giving out. $5 on a couple of those big games, but I'm spending the money instead on my picks because I really believe in those. $15 on Maryland, $15 on UConn, and I love that Purdue, $25. And finally, that parlay could win $64.84 on Purdue. Clemson in the first half, Northwestern over 10.5 points, and BC plus 6. So that will do it for this week's episode of Beat the Bookie. I'm your host, Sean Scott. Let's go out there and win some money, fellas.